There is a concept that exists in the crypto space that effectively states Bitcoin, BX, is code. Code is speech and speech is protected under United States law. We asked legal experts in digital rights, the First Amendment and crypto to comment on the statement. The claims are based on arguments from before the days of Bitcoin, which posit software as free speech, and thus state that it should be protected by the First Amendment of the U.S. Constitution. The topic was evidently first brought to public attention back in 1999, when digital publisher Eric Corley went to court against Universal City Studios Inc. for publishing source code that decodes DVDs. Referring to the case in 2001, John O. Newman, a circuit judge of the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Second Circuit, stated, "When the framers of the First Amendment prohibited Congress from making any law abridging the freedom of speech, they were not thinking about computers, computer programs, or the Internet." However, Neil Richards, one of the world's leading experts in privacy and information law, as well as freedom of expression, argued in 2016 that code equals speech is a fallacy because it would needlessly treat writing the code for a malicious virus as equivalent to writing an editorial in the New York Times, adding that it is simply wrong. Could the U.S. as First Amendment regulate the legality of Bitcoin as free speech? Lotta Knott, Executive Director, First Amendment Center Freedom Forum Institute, told her some courts have recognized code as speech. The Supreme Court hasn't weighed in on this, so I wouldn't call this a settled area of law. Personally, I think that code can be used to express and communicate ideas, and therefore can be viewed as a form of speech. But whether that speech is protected by the First Amendment is a different question. Not every type of speech is. For example, if you threaten someone's life, or hire a hitman, you are certainly engaging in the act of speech, but the First Amendment won't protect it. There are times when speech becomes conduct, when it's more than just an expression of an idea, but constitutes an action, and that's usually when the government can regulate it. Using code to create a video game could be considered an act of expression protected by the First Amendment. Using code to launch denial of service attacks probably wouldn't be. Using the blockchain to donate money to a political cause could be protected by the First Amendment, but using it to implement a smart contract might not be. Alex Abdo, Litigation Director at the Knight First Amendment Institute at Columbia University's Bitcoin speech within the meaning of the First Amendment. Probably not in the way that some appear to be arguing. The argument is that because code is speech, and because Bitcoin is code, Bitcoin is speech. The problem with this argument is that code is only sometimes protected from regulation as free speech, namely, when the regulation affects the use of code as a form of expression. But code generally isn't protected from regulation that targets its use as a machine. For example, Congress generally cannot prevent computer scientists from exchanging code to express their algorithmic ideas, but Congress can regulate the maximum speed of cars even if doing so requires car makers to change the code used to set that speed. Bitcoin is made up of ones and zeros, but those bits generally are not expressive, except in the way that normal currency is. For that reason, Congress very likely can regulate Bitcoin in the way it regulates any other currency, by imposing financial regulations and the like, so long as it does not violate the protections recognized for political contributions and expenditures. In short, the fact that Bitcoin is made up of ones and zeros does not on its own imbue it with the expressive character necessary for it to be protected as free speech. Sheila Warren, Portfolio Head, Blockchain and Distributed Ledger Technology, World Economic Forum. Leaving IP protections for code and their First Amendment implications aside, the really fascinating question is whether anonymous payments should be protected under free speech doctrine. There is a pretty robust history in the United States of prosecuting payment systems, going back in recent times to the Hawala prosecutions after the Patriot Act was passed and on to Liberty Reserve. In a post-Citizens United world, however, we've pretty much decided, or SCOTUS has decided, that money is essential to speech. And there is no question that the giving of money is a critical element of political participation, as established in. You can read full post on Cryptophans News, link available in text below.